All right, let's get this camera straightened out. All right, let's get into it. So pretty much the previous video was like an introduction on how I got into engineering. I didn't want to get into too much detail, you know, it's getting a little bit personal, you know what I mean? Let me become rich and famous before I start giving out the juicy details on my life and the L's that I've taken before I slipped on a banana peel, landing on engineering. So the basis of this video is basically things that I wish I knew before pursuing engineering, right? Specifically mechanical engineering. Number one, this is not a major that you can kind of just, BS your way through it. Like this major takes so much effort. You know, it's one of those things where if I really knew what I was getting myself into, I would not have picked this major to begin with, because the main reason why I even picked this major was to make money. But newsflash, you can make money just as much and even more pursuing other things. So had I known that what I'm going through in engineering and like what it took to become an engineer was that, I would have picked a trade, probably like plumbing, being some type of electrician, because at least, you know, I could have been like my own contractor, started my own business. I have a, pretty good work ethic. I'm very social. So that would have been the field that I dominated in. And the L's that I've taken in engineering, like repeating classes, because I failed calculus 1, I failed chemistry 1, and some more classes. But hold on. Let me graduate first, right? I'll show you my transcript. Don't worry, but let me graduate first. So like, yeah, all the L's that I took with engineering were not going to be L's that I've taken with a trade. Like I wouldn't have to worry about being broke while being in college, right? Which is hard to get used to, but man, this has been a humbling experience. So what else? What else I wish I knew? I wish I knew that there was more math than calculus. Like literally, like I was so ignorant about the curriculum for engineering. Like I was told like, yeah, you're gonna have to do math, do calculus. And I was like, oh, calculus, okay, bet. I could do that. Whole time. There's a calculus 1, a calculus 2, a calculus 3, a differential equations, a linear algebra. And it just doesn't stop, right? And then you got the physics courses. I thought physics was just, oh, it's just physics. You have the class physics. Boy, was I wrong. Whole time you have physics 1, you have statics. I gotta take dynamics. I gotta take fluid and mechanics, mechanics of material. I'm like, all these different classes that I just didn't know it was gonna be like that, but it was like that, right? And so it's gonna take a lot of effort. One thing one of my professors told me with engineering courses, so each class has credit hours. And for 1 credit hour, you should be doing at least 3 hours of studying for 1 credit hour. And yeah, I just wish I had better study habits, early on. But I got better as class went on. And so one thing I would say, one of the biggest things, stay away from shortcuts. I'm gonna say that one more time. Stay away from shortcuts. What am I talking about? I'm glad you asked. Let's talk about it. Shortcuts like Chegg, shortcuts like what's another one? Like basically things that do your homework for you, right? Right now we're in the age of AI. AI is smart enough to pretty much do your homework, right? You kind of just tell AI the problem, you might copy and paste it or whatever the case may be, and it spits you out an answer. Stay away from the shortcuts, because look, they feel good in the beginning, but the thing about engineering is each class builds on to the like you need this class in order to be successful in the next class and then the next class. You see what I'm saying? Like these concepts never go away. So definitely want to be mindful about using like it's not the end of the world to use Chegg or ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever AI you use, but it's just the reliance of it where it's like you use it, but then now when you get on the exam, you can't even get a good grade because you don't have these crutches to kind of lean on, you know. What else? What else? What else? And then what else I wish I knew? I wish I knew before pursuing engineering. Honestly, that's the biggest two. You know what I mean? Because you're gonna be okay. You're gonna be okay. Oh yeah, I just remembered it. Look, there is no such thing as hard classes, only hard professors. Listen, each professor grades differently. I got B I got B's in thermodynamics, fluid mechanics, by the grace of God. Like I'm like there's certain classes that I left and I asked myself, how did I pass that class? You know what I mean? And it's like I did work hard. I did all the homework. I put the effort in, but I'm like, man, like it could have easily not went the direction that I wanted it to go. You know what I mean? Just because of how powerful partial credit is. And I was really hard on myself where like I would leave an exam thinking that I bombed it. Whole time I got a high B on that exam, right? Just because I made a small mistake, but I still, you know, my process was right or whatever the case may be. And the professor kind of understood my logic. So that's a blessing. That's a blessing. But just stay focused. Stay focused. Keep a positive attitude. One thing about me, I'm really big into affirmations, having positive talk about myself because I'm gonna be honest with you, it's times after exams, after certain quizzes, I just gotta sit in that parking lot, you know, cry for like 5 minutes before I drive off. You know what I mean? I just gotta take 5 minutes to myself, shed a couple of tears, and then move on, and then just, you know, keep moving forward, basically. So, again, you can do it. You're gonna be all right. Just stay resilient. Have good study habits, right? There's this guy who made this book. I want to say his name is Jake. He has this YouTube channel. It's called Becoming an Engineer. He has this book that pretty much explains step by step how to like becoming an engineering and like I mean his book is the perfect definition of keys for success. I want to link his book in my description below. Like there's a lot. There's a lot. The resources are available. The resources are available. And then one more thing, one more thing. I'm gonna just add this. I want this to be the last thing I go into about resources before I end the video. In terms of tutoring, listen, I know earlier I was like, hey, don't rely too much on AI and shit. But listen, you want to use AI the correct way. So when I use AI, I use AI like I'm talking to a tutor. I'm asking questions about concepts, right? Like I remember for thermodynamics, right? I might copy and paste some problems like, hey, this was our homework. We have a quiz coming up. The quiz is going to be based off of the homework. And I would ask ChatGPT to pretty much, what's it called? Like make me a study guide basically, right? And so with the textbooks, which is another cheat code, right? I avoid buying textbooks. Like literally, I avoid if I don't have to buy it, I'm not gonna buy it, right? I would get the PDF of the textbooks. Mind you, I'm giving you game on how I use ChatGPT. I would get the PDF of the textbooks and I would pretty much copy and paste it into ChatGPT. And I would tell ChatGPT to pretty much read everything and kind of help me study. You see what I'm saying? Like help me break down the different definitions and concepts that I was studying, you know, and I would even use it as like for studying, because I would put the PDF of the textbook in ChatGPT, and I would ask things like, hey, what are some questions that would be expected on the quiz or the exam? One question that I loved asking was like, hey, what are the questions in this section where if I know how to solve these questions, I can solve everything? And it was like the same way for the homework too. Because one thing about these homework assignments is they are so time consuming, bro. Like, I know a lot of professors and a lot of people say the best practice is to keep doing as many problems as possible. But let me tell you something. If I'm working full time, I got a job, I got all these bills I gotta take care of. I don't got time for that. You know what I mean? So I would literally like practice the homework problems and maybe some extra problems, but I would kind of like pick the problems that kind of encompassed everything. I picked the problems where it was like, hey, if I know how to solve these problems, I'm pretty much good on solving every problem. Like thermodynamics, for an example. Like if I know how to solve a Rankine cycle, reheat, you know what I mean, with the reheat, regeneration, if I, and there was like what, cogeneration, if I know how to solve those and I understand the process, the concepts, I should be straight. Like I remember early on, I would like memorize problems, and it just got, but like again, that's what I mentioned, like stay away from the shortcuts, because as you move up in the curriculum, you can't, there's too many problems to memorize, there's so many problems to work on. So like I would literally just focus on learning the concept, understanding the concept. So it's like no matter what problem you're throwing at me, I'm gonna use the concept to solve it. And I feel like that's kind of what saved me in terms of partial credit, where even if I get something wrong, right, I might add a negative where it's not supposed to be. But like the fact that like like the professor can see my logic, like, you know what, this guy understands the concept. He just made an algebraic mistake. He just made a simple numeric mistake. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's really carried me throughout engineering, is just focusing on understanding the concept and not memorizing the problems. Like, oh, because I've noticed that like that's something that a lot of people do, is like like the people that I know of that kind of work on multiple problems is like they just memorize a whole bunch of problems, and that's just not the way I learn. But that's pretty much the biggest things I could learn. Not the biggest things I could learn. That's the biggest things I could kind of mention to you. Like things that I wish I knew before engineering. You know what I mean? Yeah, believe in yourself. Don't give up. Keep up the good work. And if you have any questions, let me know in the comment section. See you on the next video.